In the final years of World War II, German engineers searched desperately for anything that could stop the growing waves of Allied bombers. They had jets, prototypes, secret projects, and experimental weapons. But nothing looked more futuristic or more unbelievable than the Messerschmitt Me-163 Komet, the first rocket-powered fighter ever used in combat. Stay until the end to discover the unbelievable reason why the Messerschmitt Me-163 pilots were more afraid of landing than fighting Allied bombers. A jet that was not a jet. Allied air crews called it a bat out of hell. German ground crews feared touching it. And Messerschmitt 163 pilots, the bravest of the brave, quickly realized that their worst enemy was not the Allied Air Force. It was their own aircraft. The most shocking part of this story is not its insane speed or its climb rate. It is what happened when the fuel tanks ran dry and the pilot had to return to Earth. The dream of rocket power. The dream came from visionary engineer Alexander Lippisch, whose obsession with tailless flying wings pushed him far ahead of his time. When he proposed a rocket-powered interceptor that could climb straight up into the sky, German aviation planners thought it was madness. But the German air forces were desperate. Conventional fighters could not reach bomber formations quickly enough. They wanted something that could go from takeoff to 33,000 feet in just a few minutes. Rocket power was the only solution. The Messerschmitt Me-163 was born, and its nickname Komet simply was the German word for comet, a fitting name for its capabilities. Fuel from another universe. The key to its unmatched speed was a pair of fuels that sounded like they were taken from a chemistry nightmare. T-Stoff, a highly concentrated hydrogen peroxide, and C-Stoff, a mix of hydrazine and methanol. When the two touched each other, they did not burn. They detonated instantly, not explosively like gasoline, violently like acid meeting fire. The German ground crews wore rubber suits and avoided even the smallest spill. Drops on the ground would start smoking. Drops on clothing could burn holes through fabric and skin. Pilots trained to remain absolutely still if splashed. Moving would spread the chemicals and guarantee burns. Many never survived such accidents. The fastest climb of World War II. When fueled and launched, the Komet was unmatched. It could accelerate faster than anything in the sky, climbing nearly vertically. Allied pilots reported it shot past them like a meteor. The Me-163 could reach speeds above 500 miles per hour, far beyond the reach of most fighters at that time. Bomber crews often saw it for only a second or two before it was gone. And that was the problem. The rocket engines burned out after only 7 minutes. After that, the Messerschmitt Komet had to glide, a hunter that became the hunted. Once the fuel was gone, the Komet transformed. It no longer had the power to escape. It became a silent glider, turning in wide arcs back toward its airfield. Allied pilots quickly learned the trick. They avoided it during its powered climb and waited for the glide home. Many Messerschmitt Me-163 pilots were shot down while returning to base. They had no defensive guns at that point, no engine to accelerate, and could not even go around for a safer landing. They only had one chance to get down. The landing that terrified its own pilots. The landing gear of the Messerschmitt Me-163 was another hazard. It had no wheels. To save weight and reduce complexity, engineers gave it a detachable takeoff wheel assembly that dropped off after liftoff. That meant every landing was made on a simple skid. If the pilot touched down too hard, the fuel lines could rupture. If the aircraft bounced, it could flip. If any T-stoff or C-stoff remained in the tanks, the aircraft could spontaneously ignite on impact. Some pilots survived the air combat only to perish during the landing. Others described the landing as the most terrifying part of the mission, far worse than facing Allied fighters. Why rocket power was abandoned. By late 1944, German High Command realized the Messerschmitt Me-163 could not change the course of the war. It was too dangerous to fly, too complicated to fuel, too vulnerable while gliding, and too expensive for the limited advantages it offered. Rocket power may have been futuristic, but it was not practical. The Komet had set speed records, but at a terrible cost. Legacy of a flying firework. After the war, captured Messerschmitt Me-163s astonished Allied engineers. They recognized its incredible performance, but they also saw why it failed. Rocket power was simply too volatile for a frontline aircraft. Still, the Komet made by Messerschmitt influenced later research into high-speed flight, rocket planes, and the beginnings of the space age. Like many of the genius German inventions, it was a machine ahead of its time, but born in the wrong war for the wrong purpose. This is a true World War II story, because sometimes technology leaps forward faster than safety and strategy can follow. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more true World War II stories.